the kind of cell phones or WhatsApp or SMS messaging, anything, without that kind of reach, for someone to have the kind of impact that he did, in spite of not being, in an industry like Bollywood,
Hmm.
you know, so, like blood pressure, like allergic bronchitis, acid reflux, bad knee, everything. He didn't even know, but he just looked at me and he, must have figured out. Believe me, so in a way, I got my career because of Sachin sir.
Hello and welcome back to our show, My Sachin Story. The best part about being in a fan club is that you came across so many wonderful people who share the same passion and love as you do. And today our guest is out of one of those. A star, or I will say a Tara from Satara, Mr. Ameya Bhagwat. So, kasa काय भाऊ?
एकदम मस्त.
बढिया.
सातारकर एकदम मस्त. बढ़िया. Yeah, how are you?
मी चांगला आहे.
अरे काय बोलतो, मस्त. आवडलं.
So good to have you here, and good to see you after such a long time. Feeling blessed, I must say.
Yeah, man. I am feeling blessed. I am feeling privileged to be able to talk to you, to be able to get on the same Zoom meeting as you.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. On a serious note, it's really good to see you. I mean, we've all been going through some crazy, unreal, surreal times,
Yes.
and let us just hope all of this gets over and we'll be able to meet in person like we used to always.
Can't wait for that too. So,
Seriously.
the talking about Sachin, that every time Sachin took his chance onto the crease, the whole of India prayed for him. And there is always some sort of journey that's associated with the Sachin. So my question is, when did you first fall in love with Sachin?
So basically, see, I am 1985 born. So I won't say vivid, but I have a few memories of even the 1992 World Cup. When, my grandma, who used to be a cricket fan, she used to discuss cricket with my father and, my uncles and the rest of the family. We always had visitors, we always had guests. And all of us, the complete family, the first blood, the extended family, everyone is a cricket fan. And if you are a cricket fan, you have to there's, I mean, it's a given. It's a part of the equation that you have to be a Sachin fan as well. So basically, because all of my paternal and maternal uncles, and my aunties and my grandma, she used to follow cricket. Like, I mean, she was an ardent cricket follower.
Oh,
She had always followed cricket. So in 1992, coming back to that, I had these memories of my grandma discussing the World Cup and everything and India's chances. And I remember, she used to say, because she was an ardent fan, she used to read a lot. So she had a keen eye, and she had a grasp about it. She could tell, looking at a particular batsman or a player, about their talent, their potential, or whatever. So she used to discuss with my uncles, my dad, and everyone. Okay, there's this new kid on the block who, even if he's 19, can drive us, to a World Cup victory. And then maybe someone had a difference of opinion. How can a 19-year-old be so, so impactful in a tournament as big as the World Cup or whatever? So I had those, not very clear memories, but I would say still. I mean, I clearly remember these discussions and these topics and everything. So that was, the first time, as a 6-7 year old, you're not too matured, or you don't understand a lot about, what's going on. You just hear things out, and that's that. But then in the 96 World Cup, I was 10-11. So then, I had better understanding. That is where, for the first time, I could understand what kind of role Sachin sir, used to play back then in the team, even if he was just 22. I mean, I don't remember now, after having watched cricket for so many years and having followed it so closely, having loved the game, having cherished the game, having lived the game. I don't remember any 22 or 23-year-old being shouldered so much of responsibility and burden. Okay, so that is my first memory, and that is what drove me as a 10-11-year-old. Even if I was not even a teenager, I could somehow anticipate the kind of pressure. See, I live in Satara. Those were not even the times of social media, right? but they're still in a household that is based in Satara, which is not even remotely connected to Mumbai,
Yeah.
not even remotely connected to professional cricket or whatever. We have never had anyone who has played professional cricket. But even for a family like us to discuss Sachin, with the kind of respect and with the kind of, for a family like us who discuss Sachin at length, at the kind of length that we did, that is where I first understood the impact that he had, and that to at the age of 22. And that is my first memory, and that is where I first fell, in love with Sachin, in awe of Sachin, in awe of the aura that we all talk about and have lived for so many years.
Yeah.
For 22-year-old kid, without social media, without the kind of television reach we have today, without the kind of cell phones or WhatsApp or SMS messaging, anything, without that kind of reach, for someone to have the kind of impact that he did, in spite of not being, in an industry like Bollywood,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that I somehow realized it back in 96. And then 98 was the best memory I've ever had because I was in Mahabaleshwar.
Okay.
I vividly remember we went there on the 22nd, okay, and we stayed there till the 25th, 26th.
Okay.
Again, Mahabaleshwar, which is, a hill station, a flourishing hill station now. But back then, it was not the kind of hill station that it is today.
Okay.
So we didn't even have. So even if we stayed at a good hotel, we didn't have TVs. If we had TVs, we didn't have those signals because it was a hill station. 98 and 22nd April, the next day, I wake up and my only question, see, till then, unknowingly, subconsciously, I had developed the kind of love, respect, and connect that millions other had with Sachin. The next day I woke up, I went to my dad's room and I asked him, "What happened? What about yesterday's match? And how many did Sachin score?"
Hmm.
That was 23rd morning. He told me this happened, and he got to know it from a waiter
Okay.
from that hotel. So my point is, look at the kind of reach he had even back
Hmm.
in 1998. The waiter walks in with the order. My dad asks him what happened about the match, and he tells him, कि,
Oh.
okay, ऐसा हुआ, and Sachin sir scored this many runs, and we are qualified. Again, 24th April गया, sir का birthday था.
Huh.
We were at the same hotel. We were supposed to check out on the 26th. 25th morning, I wake up. Repeat story. फिर दूसरा कोई waiter आया था. He told him, he told my dad कि we had won the game, and he told him how we won it. So that is again, that was another defining moment. So that was 98, and after that, then the rest, as they say, is history.
Hmm.
He became the kind of demigod he did for us.
That means you missed the epic Desert Storm innings, seeing live.
I missed it. I couldn't watch it live.
But you have so
And
many fond
see
memories,
now, I have
which we missed,
absolutely so many fond memories.
which we missed in 92, 93, 94, 95,
Yeah,
because we are
yeah,
so young.
92. 92, I have patchy memories, I would say, but I have memories in
Yeah.
1992.
So we
I
must say you are lucky
vividly
in that
remember my
period of
grandma.
time to born in a
Seriously,
right
I'm
time,
very
born to a right year. We are late.
and born in the right family
Yeah.
because everyone was is an ardent cricket follower. Now, yeah, and now believe me, I'm changing track, but today we hardly discuss cricket.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, see, I'm not someone. Uh, I admire Virat Kohli. I've admired MS Dhoni. I've admired many other Indian cricketers, UV Pa, Viruva, everyone. But after Sir's retirement, it has happened, and it has not happened consciously, but it has happened subconsciously. I would say it has happened unknowingly. But we hardly discuss cricket in the family
Yeah.
today. If we tune into an IPL game, we do enjoy some Test cricket. Yeah, we do enjoy. We love cricket. The best of Test matches that have been played in the recent past, we've enjoyed them, no doubt. But we don't discuss it the way we used to.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Same thing happened in my family also. My father used to watch Sachin. Then I used to watch Sachin. And once Sachin retired, everything goes off. And I think the
Everything
RS
is
World
gone.
Series happened to be the last match which we our whole family seen on the television set also.
Seriously. Yeah, baby. Yeah, even back in 2015 when they had the All Stars.
Yeah, all stars.
That was, after Paji's retirement, that was the first game that we all watched as a family, and then this RSWS. Seriously, same
Some
story.
some amazing stories, some amazing classic shots
Amazing stories.
this time though. तो
अरे
पूरा
amazing.
मजा आ गया.
Divine, no other word, divine.
Yeah, divine, बिल्कुल. So what was the feeling when you first met God?
So आप बताओ, मतलब literally, if you happen to see God, not even saying for the first time.
Okay.
If you just happen to see God, even if you've seen Him many times, and for maybe the nth time you happen to see God, I will tell you. See, I'm not exaggerating. I'll tell you one experience. Matlab, that was the fourth time that I met God.
Okay.
PK and I, PK, everyone knows the legendary PK. So PK and I, we were in Delhi at Lalit Mahal,
Okay.
and it was a Smartrun event, Smartrun phone launch event. And this is, I mean, I just hope I'll be able to put it in words. But we were taken through the lift. Okay, PK, he had spoken to Paji's manager, and he had agreed to help the 5 or 6 of us from the team go meet Sachin sir. So after the event, we were made to wait for 5-10 minutes, and then we were taken through the lift to, I think, the 7th floor, which is where he was staying. I walked out of the lift, and then we were made to wait outside the room because he was busy with some interview.
Okay.
He was in the middle of an interview,
Mhm.
some media interaction in his room itself. So he had that suite and everything. And then, we could hear his voice. The door opened, the media started leaving. We could hear his voice, and I was like, okay, I'm getting to hear his voice. When will I get a glimpse of him? And then his manager, he walked in, and I overheard everything. He told कि sir, Sachin's team सब रुके हैं. मतलब he told Sachin sir, Sachin's team is waiting outside, and you're supposed to meet him. And without the manager having to complete his sentence, Sachin sir, I could hear Sachin say, "Oh yeah, of course," in the way he speaks. And then suddenly he appeared, and there was this small lobby. I mean, if you were standing outside the door of his room,
Mhm.
there was a little passage that led
Okay.
to his room. So basically, it was a suite. So we had the living room, and then his room might have been on the right. I anticipate the kitchen, the room, or whatever, and the rest of the structure would have been on the right. So from what I could see, I could just see that passage and half of the living room, and he was sitting maybe on the left. Okay,
Okay.
so he comes in, and I will tell you, the moment that he walked in and started coming to the passage, I could literally see some aura around him.
Mhm.
Literally, I'm not see. I have goosebumps right now. I could see, I could witness. This is the first hand experience, believe it or not. So when you asked me, okay, how is it every time? How was it to meet God for the first time? First time it was because of my uncle. I met him at the MCA, and
Mhm.
he was there to play badminton.
Okay.
I had a similar experience, but this particular experience was out of the world, indescribably good. I would say that aura. I don't think I'll ever be able to put it in words.
Yeah.
It was indescribable, and every time I meet him, now answering your question, it's indescribable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Talking about
he's
his
he he's he. Yeah. Okay, tell me.
Yeah, I was saying
Because I
that
will go on and on. I will go on and on.
talking about his aura. Is that
Hmm.
something like we are talking still about him after the 8 years of his retirement? So that was aura
Absolutely,
what is all
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that is, you got it spot on, man. You put it so well. It's
Mhm.
been 8 years, you know, so close to a decade since he retired. But
Yeah.
just look at the way, look at the intensity with which we are discussing him.
Yeah.
That is the kind of legacy that he has left. And believe me, it is not. See, had his contribution been limited to just sports or cricket or whatever, had it been just those incredible statistics that he has, built over a period, over, more than 2 decades. If it had been only that, we probably wouldn't have been discussing Sachin Sir the way we do today.
Yeah.
Like, see, there have been many there have been many great exponents of the game. We have
Mhm.
had Tom Bradman, we've had Viv Richards,
Yeah.
Gary Sobers. If we dig deep, we'll get many of them. Sunil Gavaskar sir, Gundappa Vishwanath sir. We've had so many Indian legends as well. But there is, I mean, and I'm not saying they didn't have their own fan base. They
Mhm.
always had their own fan base.
Yeah.
But my point is, no other cricketer or maybe no other sportsman in the world, be it any sport, has been able to leave the kind of legacy because No one has been able to impact lives the way he has done.
Yeah.
People would literally, like you said, when he walked into bat, he batted on behalf of a billion people,
Yeah.
which is for real. Huh? It is
Yeah.
not just exaggeration. It is not hyperbole, or it is not nothing
Mhm.
poetic about it. It's real.
It was
Everyone
like,
had that kind of a connect with him.
yeah, it was like everyone run his court. It was like we are
Hmm.
scoring the runs. We are so mutually connect with him now that
Absolutely, man.
we always awestruck
Absolutely.
that we are scoring, we are playing, we are cheering, we are nervous. Everything was
We are
happening
not,
with.
seriously, see, now coming back to one of his knocks, which is my all-time favorite, on my bicycle, in all of my cafes, health
Mhm.
food cafes, which again is an entirely different story. How I got into health food, how I
Yeah.
got into health and fitness is a different story. Again related to Sachin sir. So
Yeah.
that we can discuss later. But then in all of my cafes, my bicycle, my bike, my car, I have this written. I have written about this particular knock,
Okay.
the one against Pakistan in World Cup 2003, 98 of 75 balls. That to me is a mini epic. It's
Yeah.
for me. I'm saying it's like Mahabharata or Ramayana. It's
Yeah.
like an epic. I look up to that inning in that way. So before that knock, I mean, I don't know the way that knock had built up in spite of the social media not being there at all.
Mhm.
The way the knock had built up,
Yeah.
and the way everything around it had been going around, I had called for a navas. So we call in Marathi, we call it a navas. So which is
Yeah.
what? So I make a wish to God. So I believe in Ganpati. I believe, I mean, I'm a Ganpati devotee, like I'm a Sachin sir devotee. So there's a Ganpati Mandir in
Yeah.
my city where I made a wish. If India won the next day, I was very sure that Sachin sir or some kind of gut feeling kept telling me that Sachin sir was going to play a brilliant now.
Yeah.
But then I just hope that we would win that game.
Mhm.
So I made a wish to the Ganpati Mandir, that if we won this game, I would make it a point to walk to that mandir and do a 1 hour ritual. वहाँ पे.
Okay.
So yeah, so my point is this, and there are countless such stories.
Yeah.
I will come if we happen to dig around, we'll come across millions of people who have done something similar.
Mm.
So that is the kind of connect that
Yeah.
we all had, that he had with us,
I think
and that World Cup,
there has been so many
crazy.
superstitious stories around him that every individual has
So
done
many.
something for him. Someone.
Absolutely, and everyone has their
Yeah.
unique story. Every individual, every Sachin fan I've met, you, be it
Yes.
PK, be it anyone else, everyone has some sort of a superstitious
Yeah.
story related to Sachin fan.
But, and talking about that 98 innings, 75 or
Mhm.
98 inning, that was something incredible that we have never seen before. We have seen Sharjah, but that
And
we are too young for that. But that 2003 knock
mhm.
was one of his best knock, we must say.
It see for many reasons, and not just one
Yeah.
reason. Number one, though, matlab, it's pretty obvious it was the best
Mhm.
bowling attack of, and one of the best bowling attacks of all times.
Yeah.
So if you start talking about cricket from the 1920s, 1930s, okay, right to 2020 now, Wakar, uh,
Wasim.
Wasim Akram and Shoaib Akhtar should rate as one of the latest say top three attacks at least,
Yeah.
right? So now you are in the middle of a game. The whole country is watching you. The whole country for months has been writing about this particular game and has been writing about Sachin sir particularly.
Hmm.
How would he fare against such a bowling attack?
Yeah.
With all that kind of pressure,
Yeah.
to chase in South Africa, which is not even your hometown,
Home
not
country.
even your home country. Hometown to दूर की बात, but it's not
Hmm.
even your home country. You're in South Africa. Completely different environment,
Yeah.
completely different World Cup, the pressure of World Cup again. Then Pakistan. You know how radical India Pakistan
Hmm.
always is. And then the top bracket bowling attack.
Yeah.
So these are the three things. Number four, the pressure.
That's sure.
The pressure to perform. Number five, to chase down 274.
Yeah.
And then, considering all this, to not just come out and sustain. I'm see how carefully I'm saying this. Not just sustain, but to decimate.
Yeah.
To decimate the bowling attack the way he did. I mean, no one else can do it. Trust me when
Exactly.
I say this. Even 50, 100 years down the line, you will never witness a knock, of that kind, of that degree, of that
Agreed.
magnitude, of that brilliance.
Yeah.
Impeccable, I would say, impeccable.
And
Mind
along with
blowing. I
that,
mean,
there is
goosebumps.
one such another story that he was having constipation issues before that match.
Yeah. He had a few. He couldn't sleep well
He
as
shared
well.
the story that he
Yes.
played with the
Yeah,
nappies and so, and that was some
yeah.
edible. Wow.
Yeah, and then because of which he got dehydrated and
Yeah.
cramps and everything. And boss, yeah, I mean, I forgot that amidst all of these other stories, but it was unreal. Uh, and he has played, maybe, see, technically, you could, uh, uh, figure out a lot of his knocks that would be of the same caliber, same degree.
Hmm.
But for me, that particular one stands out. And just imagine this, huh? The same guy in 1992, 1993. Now I'm calling him guy because he was young.
Yeah. Young
Then he
boy.
was not the demigod that he is. Yeah,
Yeah.
a young boy in the 92s has that reach, reaches my grandma speaks about him. Again in 2011, 20 years down the line, it's another World Cup. And again, my household. And sorry to say, but my grandma passed away. She was no more in 2011. But then in 2011, my dad, all of my uncles,
Mhm.
everyone of us, some new, friends that we got connected to, we all were watching it together.
Yeah.
And again, who were we discussing? Sachin sir.
We are such a.
So it was so the sustained period of 20 years where he not only ruled, but also, and why did he rule? Basically because he fulfilled all of those expectations.
Yeah.
So in spite of 2 or 3 generations having changed, you look up to the same guy, even 20 years down the line, to win you a World Cup. That speaks volumes about
Yeah. That
his
was Sachin is
longevity
all
and the
about.
kind
That
of sustained impact. Yeah,
inspiring
exactly.
generations for from decades and still inspiring the young generations.
Absolutely. And still be the number one.
Yeah.
1992, he was the number one batsman for India. 96, number one.
Yeah.
99, number one. 99, I remember Sunil Gavaskar sir had written an article in a magazine by Wisden
Okay.
that the article was clear. He had clearly chosen his words. India's chances depend on how the World Cup goes for Sachin Tendulkar.
Mm.
I mean, there's no argument about
Yeah.
this. So if someone like Sunil Gavaskar makes this kind of a statement, you know how important a person that is. That was 99. 2003, again, Sachin sir.
Yeah.
2007, again, Sachin sir.
Sachin.
11, Sachin sir. And every time he delivered, every World Cup. I mean,
And
what
that
else do you
was
need?
what the pressure is all about. He carried the burden for past 24 years and,
Absolutely. And
and still
that,
carry the pressure when
Mhm.
he played for RS World Series that we expect that he will score.
Absolutely. We all were for different reasons,
Yeah.
altogether. It was not for victory, but for ourselves. We again had the same expectation
Yeah.
from the same great man.
That he.
So, see, my point is this particular thing is not quantifiable.
Hmm.
See, everything else, all of his statistics are quantifiable. They will or will not be broken is a different thing. I don't believe
Hmm.
too much into statistics. See, even if Sachin sir would have ended with 99 centuries, he
Yeah.
would have still been the greatest for us. Even if someone from today's generation goes on to score, I would say 200 international centuries,
Yeah.
he's not going to be as good as Sachin sir. So
Very
it's
good.
not always about stats. It's about so many other things that are not quantifiable,
Yeah. It's
unfortunately.
about the
So
emotions he
he's
connect,
exactly,
the hearts he
exactly,
connect, the emotions he connect. That was it's all about.
absolutely. And I mean, the way he has inspired us, and
Yeah.
for someone like me, yeah, now I'll just take a minute to tell you my story
I was
in just a minute.
about to ask
So
the same. That
yeah,
we are
so in
talking
my
about the
yeah in
inspiration,
my
and
exactly. So
your journey
yeah.
has been an inspiration itself, and there is some God connection in it also. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much of God connection in it.
Yeah.
Believe me, yeah, I'm just done with a podcast or reading website where
Okay.
I mentioned the same story
Okay.
just an hour back, and now see how good it is. See, it's all divine, it's all connected, it's all destiny that I'm
Mhm.
getting to repeat this and that too for Sachinist, who I've
Yeah.
been with since day one. So uh, you know, back in 2017, I encountered a lot of health issues because I used to weigh 131
Mm.
kgs. I used to be hefty, morbidly obese, bad lifestyle. I have been a teetotaler, so I've never drank alcohol or whatever. I'm
Okay.
not saying it's wrong to drink alcohol. Don't get me wrong, but I've been a teetotaler. Everyone at my place drinks socially.
Yeah.
My father, my uncles, my brother, everyone. But I don't. It's a choice. But then I had bad eating habits and I had ruined my health. So PK and I had attended this True Blue Ka event, True
Okay.
Blue, his clothing brand launch, and So see, it was given. Sachin sir launches a clothing brand. So from that day, I had decided that everything I would buy and I would wear would be True Blue. But then to
Okay.
my shock, I went and I walked into the store. His the inauguration of the store was done, and then I walked in and I thought, okay, I would buy myself some clothes. I was hefty. I was 128 kgs by then. So I walked in. I told them, I get me the biggest size. The biggest size was triple XL. Triple
Okay.
XL. Even in that triple XL, I couldn't fit.
Oh,
So it started in my mind, "Kid, I need to lose weight and get at least to the point where I can fit into True Blue's triple XL." But then during one of my other meets with Sachin sir, he subtly told me, in a subtle way, you know, in which only he could, to focus on my fitness because he could see that I had gained a lot of weight, and he didn't obviously, for obvious reasons, he didn't even know the other health issues that I was encountering, like blood pressure, like allergic bronchitis, acid reflux, bad knee, everything. He didn't even know, but he just looked at me and he, must have figured out, looking at my expressions, my overall jaded look and
mm,
everything. So he said, "Can you to focus on my fitness?" So this was back in Jan 2017. And then it began. 15th March 2017, I decided the next day, 16th March 2017, was going to be 100th, 5th anniversary.
100. Yeah.
So I did, yeah. So something snapped. And 15th March 2017, I ate that, the kind of monstrous meals that I used to eat. I decided tonight will be the last monstrous meal that I'll eat. Used to be a full handi of butter chicken and 12, 14 rotis and a full jeera rice and everything. It used to be crazy. So I ate one of those meals, enjoyed my favorite dessert.
Okay.
From the next day, 16th March 2017, which is 100th 5th anniversary, you know, I woke up a completely different person. And now today, so I'm a qualified lawyer. I used to work with a legal outsourcing firm. That's long gone. I mean, now I'm into health and fitness and
Mm,
nutrition. I've already completed my master's in nutrition science certification from Precision Nutrition Canada, and I've changed not just as a person, but also my as a professional. So I'm a
yeah.
professional nutritionist now already. So my point is, all of this, all of this happened to me, happened with me, and मुझसे ये सब हो सका. I would say because of Sachin sir. Even till date, all of my videos, all of my anything I write about the story features, because this is the kind of impact that he has had on me.
Yeah.
And believe me, so in a way I got my career because of Sachin sir. Otherwise, see, if it was not Sachin sir, if I didn't have someone like him to look up to, I might never have done what I did today. So, that is the kind of impact that he has had on my life and many other lives,
Yeah. Wow. Such an amazing
millions.
transformation, I must say, and such an inspirational story. I know you. I have looked
Uh,
you in 2017 and 16 that how you weighed,
yeah, yeah.
and after seeing you like
You
this,
so you've seen both versions.
yeah. But I must say, Sachin is always been an inspiration. That like that, I always want to be a cricketer because seeing Sachin, that I always wanted to play with him. So I got an ACL injury. So third year,
Oh,
that was third year. So the
oh,
rehab was quite thoughtful and tough. So I always, when my rehab
I
was
get that.
going on, so there were a lot of pain and so I always
Mm-hmm.
close my eyes, watch Sachin Tendulkar batting, and I was standing alongside him,
Uh,
and inspiration that I was playing with him. So I have to get fitter. I have to get fitter and fitter. And that was 2011. That World
what a
Cup was
story.
done,
Mhm.
and
World
always
Cup
was
done.
want to be with Sachin, want to be with Sachin, and that was a journey that I always now still I run around at 12 to 13 second 100 meters. So
Oh my goodness, that is
yeah,
phenomenal, man.
yeah. So that was
Phenomenal. So
my journey
12
is all about.
seconds you did 400 meters.
Yeah,
Mind blowing pace, man. Hats off, hats off.
yeah,
So everyone has their own story, man.
yeah.
I goosebumps, seriously.
Even
12
that,
seconds for 100 meters is crazy.
yeah. Even when
And
that
especially after
Virat
his
Kohli
injury.
posted a video for fastest 3-1, who can run
Mm-hmm.
fastest three, I eventually beat him. I posted a video to
My, yeah, I
yeah.
remember. Oh my goodness,
So,
brilliant,
so
brilliant,
that was Sachin is all about the inspirer, and so
superb, phenomenal,
yeah.
phenomenal.
So coming back to Sachin, what was the best match you have witnessed live of Sachin? Any particular match? And so
So in the stadium,
in a stadium, yes.
in the stadium, yeah. So it was Mumbai Indians versus Kolkata Knight Riders
Okay.
back in 2010.
Hmm.
So it was 24th March 2010, 23rd March 2010, if I recall correctly. And he scored 71 of 47.
Yeah.
And Ishan Sharma, he was in good touch back then. And I so I after that I watched many games at the stadium, because of even work, the legal outsourcing firm that I used to work with, they took us to a few matches, IPL, when it happened in Pune.
Mhm.
But again, I mean, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Sachin fan or I'm not here with an agenda. But my point is that knock, I have vivid memories. He decimated Ishan Sharma,
Yeah.
literally decimated, and effortlessly. I mean, a lot of other batsmen were struggling against Ishan Sharma, his height, the kind of bounce he would use to generate. That match was in Mumbai. The
Yeah.
pitch, again, Kolkata had posted north of, I think, 170. And I remember,
Mhm.
after the game was done, I went home. I mean, I went to the hotel where we had booked. And after that, I watched I think the highlights. And I remember during the highlights, because I was in the stadium, I didn't hear the commentary. But then in the highlights, when I watched it at night, I was all awestruck and everything. So I just thought I should tune in and watch the highlights. So highlights, when I was watching, I remember Harsha Bhogle saying it could be a tricky target, it's a tricky wicket. Ishan Sharma with
Okay.
his height could trouble and everything.
Mhm.
And then, no one. So that inning might not hold a lot of significance as
Okay.
far as Indian cricket is concerned, because it was
Mhm.
an IPL game
Yeah.
against Kolkata, that to a league match, not even a final or whatever.
Mhm.
But then, for someone like me, I could witness sheer class that day, which I don't think I've been able to witness again.
Yeah. 2010 was also a year of Sachin. He scored a double-handed in that year. So
Double
many double
hundred, yeah.
centuries, back-to-back double centuries. So that was year of Sachin. So we must felt pity
Year
for
of
Ishant.
Sachin.
Sachin
Yeah,
also
yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah,
class.
yeah. And yeah. Okay, so you say, when you say mention this, pity, we should all have pity for Ishan. Uh, like I said, when I went back to the hotel and tuned into the TV, it was the highlights. I At the beginning of the Mumbai batting, I heard Harsha Bhogle saying the kind of stuff he did, which I
Mhm.
just mentioned. And then later on, when Sachin sir was giving all that treatment to Ishan. At one point, I vividly remember, I will quote Harsha sir's words. Harsha sir exactly said this. कि after the game, Ishant will walk towards Sachin and say, "Sir, what wrong did I commit today? Why this treatment to me?" These were his exact words, Harsha Bhogle.
Wow. That,
So,
that was he was around 36, 37, and sharing that some class, that destructive.
yeah.
I must thought if
Yeah.
IPL was in the 90s, then I can't
Yeah.
imagine what Sachin can done with the McGrath, Shane Warne,
Crazy,
and other
crazy.
bowlers also.
It would have been crazy. I mean, as it is, see, again, he was always ahead of the generation, ahead of
Mm.
his generation. So, even if you say, I don't, again, like I said, uh, I don't, emphasize statistics too much, because Sachin sir's contribution is way beyond statistics. His statistics are incredible, is a different thing. But then, if you have to talk statistics, compare him with anyone from his era. He was in any given statistic, significant statistic, be it the number of hundreds, the number of 50s,
Yeah.
the number of international runs or whatever. He was always around 25 to 30% ahead of all of his contemporaries, be it Ricky Ponting, be it Brian sir was at one point alongside Sachin
Yeah.
in tests, not in one day, but at least in one format, they were head and shoulders, neck and
Mhm.
shoulders, I would say. But then he overtook Lara sir as well. At one point, Saeed Anwar had 15
Yeah.
ODI hundreds and Sachin sir had 12.
Yeah.
And Desmond Haynes, the West Indian great, had 17 and Sachin sir. And it was, a lot had been written about back then about who would get there first. Was it going to be Saeed Anwar or was it going to be Sachin sir? Anwar had 15, Sachin sir had 12. And then that sudden burst. Sachin sir went up to 21. Anwar remained at, I think, 16.
Yeah.
So every single time, he figured out a way, or maybe he achieved that and remained 25-30% apart from his contemporaries.
Yeah.
And that, statistically speaking, is the hallmark of a legend.
Yeah.
Again.
Agreed. So what was being like when he was in 90s and so the nervous 90s people say? What was the feeling?
Are
Those were moments.
so I used to discuss this a lot with PK back then.
Okay.
When the 2007 was the year after the
Yeah.
World Cup. Okay, right. So 2007 was the year after the World Cup. We first went to Ireland.
Yeah.
At Belfast, we had those games against South Africa. He
Got it.
scored two 90s. One of them was 99 of 142.
Yeah.
He had fewer, and a lot of people again, the next day, a few fools I would say criticized him for being slow, but then they don't realize that it was that kind of a wicket where you had to build that inning.
Hmm.
So it was a slow innings, but still one of his best, for the reason that we managed to put a really good total all because of him. No one else could score anything in that game, but he scored 99 of 142. So that was one of those 90s. Second game, he scored an incredible 93, incredible,
Yeah.
against the likes of Mackay Antony and company. And he looked, trust me, flawless. He looked like someone from a completely different planet. That was 93 of 106. And when he got out of 93, India's total was 142. So just imagine the kind of domination. Out of 142, 93 was scored by him. 93 of 106. So that was another 90. And then we went to England, where he ended up scoring 690s.
Yeah.
So, matlab, that 90, I would always feel the pressure when he would get into the 90s. And trust me, I don't know what statisticians write about, but he's one of the quickest to get from 90 to 100. If you talk about statistics, getting from 90 to 100, Sachin sir features among one of the quickest. So, for some sort of authority bias, people keep saying that he slows down in the 90s. Never happened.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 innings where he slowed down. That is what people have etched in their memories, and that is what they talk about. And then they have created this whole illusion that Sachin sir slows down when he gets into the 90s. He never slowed down. Okay, so that's set straight. But that little time that he used to be in the 90s would be incredibly nervous. And this 2007, I would say, my goodness, 2007 to matlab
heart attack time.
7 or 8 90s back to back.
Yeah.
And then those bad decisions as well in those. And then that came back to haunt us in 2011 in Mumbai against West Indies.
Against West Indies, Darren Samit took the catch.
94. My goodness, yeah. So his 90s, even if
some of his 90s was so beautiful that we always wanted that it was to be 100, like 98, that World Cup 98.
98 or
94 in Mumbai.
The same World Cup he scored 94 in Mumbai. In the same World Cup 2000, he scored 97 against Sri Lanka. Top class inning.
Yeah.
Then those 90s in England against James Anderson, everyone. The way Anderson was swinging, he would pitch it on the middle and get it, out of, he would ball that outswing and get it on the off stick. So that is one of the most difficult deliveries to face. And I remember one particular occasion, it was just short of a good length ball from Anderson, pitched on the middle and leaving Sachin sir. I don't know how, but Sachin sir still figured out a way to flick that good length ball and found the boundary. And Sunil Gavaskar sir was in the commentary box, and he said, and he was awestruck. He said these were his exact words. That's pure genius, pure talent playing that shot. Nothing else can explain that. No science, nothing else can explain the way Sachin sir executed that shot. Were his words. I'm quoting him.
As Harbhajan said once, that Sachin always have 4 shots for every ball. So that was his all about.
Seriously. Yeah. Exactly.
So
he could have very well defended, maybe pushed it, cut it towards covers or whatever, but then he found a way to flick it towards Deep's leg and found the boundary.
Like he did in
also that proves
what he did in while scoring 241 without playing a cover drive, playing the off balls into the leg side and all.
Exactly. What resilience, man! Yeah. What resilience do you need to be able to pull off? In a way, it was so easy for him to get carried away. You are Sachin Tendulkar, boss. You are the number one by a distance.
Yeah.
And even if you are struggling, you have the authority to try and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
In spite of all of this, he had that resilience. He had that clarity.
Yeah.
I'm in that phase where I might get out. if I try to play a cover drive, I might get out. Not that I will, but there's a remote chance. So to have that clarity, and in spite of being what he was and what he is, to not play a cover drive
Yeah.
is just phenomenal. You need to have a, I would say, a mind, a subconscious mind that you
Subconscious
have
mind, yeah.
control over. Yeah, that you have control over.
Since shared a story about it that he doesn't plan for it. He just instantly said that I will not play a cover drive today and let's see how it goes. And it was a battle
So
between the bowlers and me. Let's see who will throw their arms first. So eventually it was Australian bowlers who just gave away and started bowling the areas that Sachin wanted them to bowl.
what are them to?
Yeah.
Exactly. So just speaks volumes about how he used to read the game and how he used to read the opponent.
Yeah.
In fact, he
So
knew that he would hit a point where the bowlers would start bowling where he wanted them to. Incredible.
so coming back to our last section, it's called bouncer.
Mm-hmm.
Here I will ask you
Mhm.
some questions and you have to answer them quickly as possible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is,
Yeah.
in how many matches that Sachin has captained the Indian team? Both ODI and Test matches.
So that is my favorite figure. Again, 98
Yeah,
of 75 balls. That's 98.
exactly. The second question is, how many half century did Sachin have in Test matches?
50 on 68. 68.
Yeah, 68. Total of 119, which is still a record for most 50s plus
Yeah.
innings. And the
Yeah.
third question is, there one particular song he used to listen up in during his 2011 World Cup journey. So you know what was that?
बड़े अच्छे लगते हैं किशोर दा. किशोर
Yeah,
दा.
Kishore Da. Not Kishore Da. I
Yeah.
think Amit. What is was?
Yeah, Amit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kishore
So-
Das.
Wow, that was some spellbound sort of journey, Amiya, you have. So we have to wrapping up, as every good
No,
thing
no,
has
we
come
will
to an
end.
end. Yeah.
It's been a privilege. Hats off, to to you, to PK, and for what all you've been doing for Sachinist. And I will always continue to do my bit, whatever you guys want me to do for Sachinist. And let us just take this ahead. And God's legacy, though, anyway, will stay. Let us just hope that Sachinist is able to contribute,
Yeah.
even if in the smallest way, in this
Yeah.
entire journey. And
It's our
thank you.
privilege
I'm
to have you here. So
I'm delighted.
so much,
I'm delighted.
Amiya, for sharing the story with us. That was some sort
Thank
of
you.
inspiring. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashish. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.